the opportunity to try a bunch of different areas of discipline, and ultimately gravitated to entertainment in the 80s. And then ultimately decided as a lawyer, I really was interested in kind of getting into the business side of things, more strategic, more operational, less deal specific. And that led me to ultimately transition to go to CBS Entertainment in their business affairs group.
So how do you use your education from law school in your work today?
Day-to-day work.
Yeah.
Well, I started on the business affairs side, which is the deal-making side of the television business. So network television at CBS, now then at NBC, was business affairs people were the ones that negotiated kind of the front part of every business transaction that the network does, in acquiring programming, hiring talent, licensing shows, and so you really are using your contract negotiation skills. You're using a lot of your legal knowledge that you get in terms of the workings of copyright law, intellectual property. In my role now, I use my law background in any number of things. I functionally oversee our legal department at NBC in LA. So when there's a piece of litigation or any kind of complex transaction, our in-house lawyers work on it. I'm their client, but I at least can speak the language and understand what they're talking about. So I use it every day in my legal life.
So one thing a lot of people are curious about is the day-to-day of your job. So could you walk us through what a normal day at NBC is like for you?
Sure. It really isn't a normal day, especially these days at NBC. But I will say that one of the things I like about my job is that there is no routine day. Any day I'll get up, I'll go to the office, and I'll have like 5 things I want to do that day. And there may be 6 other things that happen during the day that take my attention. And I like that. I like the constant diversity of doing different things each day. A typical day, though, starts, as any broadcast network executive does, is looking at the ratings from the night before. And it's really getting the report card for how you did the night before. And even in this day and age, where content is consumed on any number of different any number of different platforms, last night's ratings are still very important because that's the bread and butter of how we as a television network make our money from advertising. So you start getting very attached to some of the shows that you put on the air, and every morning you wake up and you look at how they did the night before, and some days are better than others. So that's how the day starts. Every morning I have a senior staff meeting, first thing in the morning with the senior team. So the people that come to the meeting are the various heads of the departments on the West Coast. So the head of scripted programming in prime time, the head of unscripted programming, reality television, the head of late night programming and the Jay Leno show is there. Our head of scheduling, so the person who's responsible for all the pieces of the puzzle on the schedule, marketing, publicity, business affairs, research. They're all there in the room, and we kind of it's like a little bit of a White House situation room where we just talk about what's going on, how was the night before, what's happening today, what's going on in the marketplace, fixing any problems that may arise or not arise. And that's kind of how we start our day. And then most of the rest of my day is spent putting out fires. If there's anything going on in particular on any piece of business that we're doing, big deal that we're working on, I'll spend time on that. There'll be meetings that I'll have that are regular meetings with updates on our legal department updates, business affairs department updates. We have a regular scheduling meeting where they talk about things that are coming up, what do we schedule here or there. Current programming, which is a maintenance of the shows that are on the air. That's a meeting once a week where the creative executives get in a room and talk about, what's happening on episode number 20 of The Office that's going to appear on this date, so that our marketing people can go and market the episode a certain way. And it's taken up with any number of things in a particular day, which is what I like. I like the diversity of it.
So being the chairman of a major media company obviously means you have to make some tough decisions that affect a lot of people. What's been the toughest decision you've had to make in your career, and the toughest decision specifically at NBC?
The toughest decision I've had to make in my career. Well, the toughest decision I had to make in my career, I think, is not really related to my job as a network executive. I think the toughest decision I had to make was personal in my career, was taking that leap from being a lawyer in private practice, where I was comfortable as a partner in a law firm, had a nice practice, and I decided that I was not fulfilled. I wanted to go more into the company side, operational side of things. So I got this offer at CBS to go into business affairs, took a salary cut. It was a big leap of faith. My wife, who's here in the audience, knows what we went through in trying to think through that decision. It was a very, very hard decision, but in retrospect, it's one of the best decisions I ever made. So that was just a personal tough decision. The hardest thing I've had to do at NBC, I think, has been in looking at the operation of our business in this new world. I realized that there was a very kind of archaic structure to our business, which was we had a group of creative executives at the network. So the NBC Entertainment side of things was a group of creative executives. And then on the studio side, the production company, Universal Media Studios, which is the studio that creates the programming, most of which appears on NBC. But for example, the show House, that's a Universal Media Studios production for Fox. So we had a whole set of creative executives there. And I realized that in this day and age of vertical integration, you didn't really need two separate creative teams. So we decided to combine them. And it took a couple years to kind of really think it through and come up with the right structure. But about a year ago, we decided to push the button and do that and implement that structure. And it was hard for me personally, because a lot of the people that I'd grown close to over the years, who were either at the network or the studio, who were now going to be laid off as a result of this combination, it was hard. I knew it was a decision that I made that affected these people's lives, and it was a very, very difficult decision.
So when making those tough decisions, obviously some work out better than others. Do you have any regrets, or are there any failures that you